When I was a kid, I gamed hard. I used to play Halo 3 and Modern Warfare 2 religiously. And my mum, she knew that I was somewhat of a hardcore gamer, so we struck a little deal, a little parlay if you will. I get to game after I do my homework. And so, as soon as school finished, I would do whatever it took to finish my homework ASAP. If I was taking the bus, I would find the two largest, most chunkiest, most heavyweight individuals I could, and I would tactically insert myself between those two individuals to create an environment most optimal for the completion of my studies. And if I was taking the train, I'd echolocate the ugliest train carriage possible and sit my ass in one of them seats, boy. If I Byakugan located a carriage filled with 0.5 out of 10s, yes please mommy. I didn't want any distractions. I wanted to get my homework done as soon as possible. I needed to maximize my potential gaming hours. As a kid, I was always a little bit of a troublemaker. I was what you might call a prankster, a goofy goober. And when I would go too far, instead of grounding me, my mum would always take away my gaming controllers. And goddamn boy, that shit would have me pressed. You don't love me. I would be ugly crying with the snot gushing down my nose like I was in a shonen anime. I would be dry heaving. I would look in the mirror all serious like an atheist on Reddit. I'd straighten my hair, give it that emo Bieber flick. I'd give it a good old I hate my parents. You might be hearing about this behavior and you might now be thinking to yourself, this kid was a really stupid kid. And you would be right. But honestly, the biggest thing I realized when I look back at my former self is how I had a major case of video game addiction. These behaviors weren't just angst. These behaviors were withdrawal symptoms. It's weird because I don't think my gaming addiction back then was a dopamine thing like the present day TikTok addictions affecting the youth. If any of you Donnies have played Modern Warfare 2, you would know that 75% of the time that game would just piss you off. Back then I was obsessed with getting better, improving my gamer skills. Before the age of hustle culture, my rise and grind was watching MW2 tips and tricks videos and 1v1ing noobs on Rust. I was that squeaky voiced kid screaming in the mic about how I fucked your mother. Mental warfare was most definitely a weapon in my arsenal. And yeah, I would steal kills. So what? That's just proof that I wanted it more, that I got that dog in me. What's that, FaZe Minnesota 69? You out quick scoped me? Nah G, your dad works at Activision. That's the only explanation. If I had to try and analyze the cause of my gaming addiction, honestly, back then gaming was just way litter than real life. Yeah, I probably could have replicated my online gaming rising and grinding with IRL sports. But bro, if I went to play football at my local pitch, the older kids, they would have beat me up. It was always those dudes with the peach fuzz mustaches that would steal your football and kick it over the fence and then make fun of the size of your penis. And those peach fuzz gangsters, they'd always have the most high-pitched, most disgusting laughs amongst the entire human race. That shit would be sounding like a dying narwhal, bruh. Nah, G. I'm good, G. Why would I go through all of that nonsense instead of sitting in a nice, comfortable chair in my own home? And why would I not just play video games instead? With gaming, I got to feel so many emotions. Rage, happiness, satisfaction. All super intense and all in the span of one game of domination. In gaming, I could rise up the ranks and better myself like a shonen protagonist without getting actually beat up by some preteen dickheads. Back then, as corny as it sounds, the real me existed in the digital realm. Nowadays, bro, the script has flipped. It is a struggle to sit down and really get into a video game. Do you guys remember when the Dying Light 2 Donnies were advertising how their game was 200 hours long? Bro, that sounds like my worst nightmare. I get so impatient playing games these days. As I'm playing, my legs will be shaking like crazy. If I sense that a game is about to become ever so slightly boring, if a game hits me with some checklist side quest bullshit, I'm dipping. Sorry, Dying Light 2, I gotta get the milk. You're eating dinner without me dying like 2. It's ironic because pretty much every video game these days is hyper designed to be as addictive as possible. Let's not get it twisted. Video games have always been built to keep gamers coming back for more, but nowadays they got algorithms. Nowadays they got daily login bonuses. They got stupid little pieces of code, pathetic little ones and zeros, begging, pleading gamers to just keep playing. When a game clearly has all these little market researched addiction triggers. Nah, no thanks buddy. Those kind of addiction style games are like pick-me's leeching onto a friend group. Oh please play with me guys. My house is really nice. My mom will bake us cookies if you come over. Shut up! No, I don't want your mum's cookies. I can't stand you. No one here actually likes you. Get off my dick, you pathetic dweeb. It's definitely a personality thing, whether or not you become the type of gamer to get sucked into these addiction type games. Me personally, I might get super into an addiction style game for a couple of weeks and then boop, something will happen and I'll just tap out. A couple months ago, I had a teeny tiny little Genshin Impact phase. And listen, I was actually unironically feeling it. The kawaii Genshin men were tickling my pituitary gland, the waifus were very ahem, and the game is just very chill and relaxing. It's like playing a Studio Ghibli movie. That is, until you finish the game's story content. Once you're in the end game, let's just say Genshin Impact turns into Gulag Impact. I'll tell my grandkids about those long painful hours I spent struggling for primo gems. Every fucking day, click, 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 press, press, press. All that struggle, all that sacrifice, scraping together enough gems to feed the RNG gods. The same gods who, after I finally saved up enough for a 10 roll, give me back 10 common items. That's the kind of pain that changes a man. That's the kind of trauma that gives a man a Mangakyo Sharingan. I can't remember what exactly was the trigger that snapped me away from Gulag Impact. Perhaps it was the realization that I have always and will always love and respect the age of consent. Perhaps it was the realization that MiHoYo hates dark-skinned people. Whatever it was, it made me kind of go cold turkey on Genshin Impact. Some people, they never have that trigger. I've seen grown men having panic attacks because they forgot to check what Zer was selling that day. I've seen men collapse, crying and screaming because they didn't get their daily engrams. Sometimes I feel jealous. I feel like I'm missing out. What is this experience that makes you verifiably lose your marbles? GTA Online, Destiny 2, The Division, Genshin Impact. These addiction type games, they feel like jobs. They feel like 9 to 5s that you gotta always plug into every single day. For some people, like myself, that's kinda ass. For us, these games feel like sleep paralysis demons trapping you inside a hamster wheel of endless weekly challenges and daily login bonuses. Stay in bed, boy. Keep playing the game, boy. No thanks, I'm not your boy. But for other people, for the boys of the world, those games are lit. I imagine it's like entering another world. And you know what? Good for you and your engrams. For the longest time, I thought I'd never have that MW2 style addiction again. I thought those days were well and truly over. And then Warzone came out. Yes! 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 This was it! This was that feeling! One more game! One more game! One more game! And then I got a gaming PC and I realized I hadn't even scraped the surface of addiction type games. Overwatch, Valorant, League of Legends, the greatest scientists in human history have all failed to answer one question, the one great mystery remaining on planet Earth. Why the hell does anyone play those games? No one has ever had fun playing those games. Overwatch. I still remember when I first played Overwatch 2 on PC. I had previously dabbled with OG Overwatch on console, but after I got a gaming PC, a good friend of mine who was himself an Overwatch aficionado, he begged me to play some Overwatch with him. Why not? How bad could it be? What I didn't know back then was that console toxic and PC toxic are two completely different things. Console toxic is, at the end of the day, just banter. Yeah, we make fun of each other's penises, but it's not that deep. PC toxic? It is that deep. PC toxic is verbal scorched earth. All me and my mate played was unranked because I didn't know how to play the game. On unranked. I was getting so much hate. People were chatting so much shit about how I didn't know how to play the game. Hey man, play a role man. About how I didn't know how to play Wrecking Ball. I know. That's why I'm playing unranked. I'm only playing Wrecking Ball because I think he's cute. What is wrong with all of you? Bruh, when Mercy Masochists started popping up in our lobbies, I was baffled. I was perplexed. Every single Mercy would roleplay in the text chat about being Daddy's little girl. It's so weird, bro. You lot need to go outside. And the wildest thing about that is that all those girly girl masochist Mercies, they're definitely all dudes. Valorant lied to me. For the longest time, I thought Valorant meant bravely or with braveness or something like that. Oh, when you saved that kid from the burning building, that was very Valorant of you. Excuse me, sir. When you told that angry mob of K-pop stans that BTS's latest single, Yet to Come, in brackets, the most beautiful moment, is mid, that was most Valorant of you. It doesn't mean bravely. It doesn't mean anything. It's a completely made up word. And that's not even the most deceptive thing about Valorant. Valorant proves that pretty privilege exists. Valorant is the most hardcore, most sweaty, most twitchy game out there. It's basically Counter-Strike. But the developers, they just boop, gave the game a colorful anime filter, and all of a sudden, all the e-girls, they all love Valorant. I don't know how, but Valorant's player base is a perfect balance of ABGs and adult virgins. League of Legends. LOL players are phlegm. They're pieces of toilet paper that get stuck in your ass hairs. They're getting your pee-pee stuck in your zipper. They're the worst. League of Legends is just horrible. It's a constantly awful experience. The player base is disgustingly toxic. And the gameplay is just clicking. Why am I the only one who seems to notice that? It's just clicking, guys! One time, I was visiting an old friend of mine at his university, and he let me crash in his room. As I was drifting to sleep, his roommate had started playing League of Legends, and honestly, the furious clicking of his trackpad kinda acted as some white noise for me to fall asleep to. It was weird though, because as I slept, I felt like I could still hear that clicking in my dreams. When I woke up, this dude was sat in the exact same position, clicking away, playing League of Legends. When I say, oh, I played games all night, usually that means I played games till like 3 AM and then fell asleep. This dude played League of Legends all damn night long. Overwatch, Valorant, League of Legends. These three are the unholy trinity of one more game style video game addiction. Objectively, my experiences with these games have been more negative than positive, but for some reason, those icons, they're still on my desktop. I haven't uninstalled that shit yet because the darkness, the one more game, somehow it still calls to me. I made my jokes, I told my stories, but let's get back to the real topic of this vid. Video game addiction. It's a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. I understand why people get defensive when some nonce on the news blames everything bad with society on video games. They're just haters. But as someone who is himself a gamer, you can't lie and say this stuff is 100p good for you. Balance. That's what you need. And only you can decide for yourself if you're addicted or not. And you just gotta be honest with yourself. If you're ditching your friends because you gotta get home and claim your seasonal cosmetic skins, if Battle Pass is more bae than your actual bae, maybe, just maybe, take a step back and get some help.